We have been talking a lot the last few days about this volatility on Wall Street, but the Dow has seemed, let's say, a model of stability compared to the fortunes of top cryptocurrency Bitcoin. From a high of nearly $20,000 in mid-December, Bitcoin dropped Tuesday to below $6,000. That's nearly a 70% loss. Now, that was attributed largely to a congressional hearing on cryptocurrency regulation. No steps were announced there, so Bitcoin recovered back up to about 8,000, but serious doubts remain about its viability, certainly as an investment vehicle. And here joining us for more on that is Dr. Vili Abraham, consumer behavior lecturer and researcher and a marketing consultant. And Vili, what is going on with Bitcoin? What explains this massive drop we've been seeing?
All right, so if we look at what explains the drop that we had, because it was really a significant drop. I mean, the market, if you look at the cryptocurrency market, they lost all in all about $100 million, $1 billion in one day. Today's cryptocurrency market is worth about $350 billion as opposed to $850 billion just a few days ago. So that's a lot of money that they've lost. So there are a few reasons. First of all, either tighter legislation or bans.
Okay, and that's what they're scared of happening, for example, in the U.S.
Exactly, or threats. For example, you can look at China and South Korea, which banned initial coin offerings altogether. If you look at Israel, it's considering banning companies from the stock exchange that are based on cryptocurrencies. The UK government is considering legislation because they're concerned over money laundering. And Japan and Australia also tightened regulations around the Bitcoin. That's one thing. The other thing is that if you look at banks, US banks and UK banks last week, they've banned its customers from purchasing Bitcoin using credit cards because they were concerned that people would incur debts that they won't be able to pay because of this volatility. And the third reason is that there were concerns that the price of the Bitcoin was manipulated on a very big exchange, which is called Bitfinex.
With all these predictions, and we're trying to make forecasts on Bitcoin and on cryptocurrencies in general, Goldman had a lot to say about it over the last couple days. Do you think that we can actually, that it is possible to forecast? Do the sort of classic financial analysts that we always hear from about the markets really know what's going to happen with cryptocurrencies?
Well, opinion is divided because we really don't know what explains this decrease and what explained the increase today. Today Bitcoin is worth about $8,000.
Right, it came up about 2,000.
Yeah, it went up 25%.
Okay.
Just in one day. So there are a few explanations. So one explanation is that the discussion in the Senate regarding regulation and the fact that they will try to combat the volatility of the coin. That's something that made people optimistic. The other thing is that the Senate also said that they would take preventative measures in order to avoid the use of Bitcoin by scammers and terrorists. These are two things. Now, some analysts say, look, the value of the coin is underpriced. It should be around $25,000.
25, even above where it hit,
above what it hit before. Exactly, and they also think that the overall market will be worth $1 trillion if you take all the coins together. Others have even more optimistic assessments. They think it should increase to somewhere between $50,000 and $100,000. Now, we don't know what explains this. Some analysts say that it might be an opportunistic step that people took, meaning the price of the Bitcoin decreased and people went and bought coins, and that's why it increased it somewhat. So it's really difficult to say what's going to happen. It really depends on whether more countries ban the coin. It depends on regulation and optimism in the market. On the other hand, if you look at the Diamond Exchange here in Israel, just a few hours ago, they announced that they're going to launch 2 coins. One is going to be called the Cut. One of the reasons they're going to launch it is to make it easier to transfer money from retailers to traders. And the other one is going to be called Karat, and it's intended for institutional investors. So it's very interesting.
A coin specifically for the diamond industry to be used within it.
Exactly. Yeah, to prevent money laundering and to know the identity of the people who buy the diamonds, etc.
Well, speaking of the diamond industry, we'll take a closer look at that in just a moment. Vili Abraham, great to have you with us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
It'll be interesting to see. We see those graphs that,